You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there. So we will get to your questions now. If you want to go ahead and put those in the chat, you are more than welcome to. You can just drop those into the Zoom chat and I will get to them. We also, like I said, I think we had some pre-submitted questions. I'll be working those in here as well. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. Looks like we've got a question here from Jim to start us off. Does the landing page for a group promo have to be a BookFunnel landing page? Good question, Jim. Yes. When you join a BookFunnel group promo, let's find one here. Let's go to this guy's promo again. It's this weird guy named Jack. When I join this promo and I selected my book that I want to submit, let's see, I think this one's a good one. It's going to ask me which link or which landing page I want to use. This is one of my BookFunnel landing pages. I can only select this. I can only select this page. So yes, it does have to be a BookFunnel landing page. That's just the way BookFunnel promos work. Now, if you do a sales promo, let me go back a step. In a sales promo, it works a little bit differently because a sales promo uses a universal book link, and universal book links work differently from download pages. Download pages, the reader downloads the book from BookFunnel. Universal book links are going to link readers to where they can typically purchase the book. Right? So for example, here we go to, I think I've got this should be a good example. Let me use this one again. Let's see how this looks. Okay, this is a good example here. So this is a very basic universal book link, right? You can add a lot more buttons to this if you want to, but this is going to link them out to Amazon, for example, or to my direct store. So in a sales promo, again, you have to use a BookFunnel landing page, but you could then direct them from this universal book link to somewhere else. So that's the one case where you can get them to go somewhere other than a BookFunnel landing page in the context of a promo. All right, we have a question here from Omri. Where is the link to the download page? Not the landing page, but in case I want to include a link to the download page in my welcome email, in case they missed the email, from BookFunnel. Okay, so Omri, I'm assuming that you are using an email sign-up page, And so an example, we have a few examples of email sign-up pages here where readers will submit their email, right, in order to get the book. So this landing page here, along with this link, doesn't actually give them direct access to the book right away. They've got to sign up first. And when they do that, they get a private link that is generated just for them. Now, there are some advanced ways for you to be able to provide them with that link, but it's probably easier, in my opinion, if you're wanting to make sure that they get the book, to include a link to a simple download page, right? A simple download page does not collect emails. Let's pull up one here. A simple download page simply allows them to download the book, right? So they just click the button and then they choose their book. In the case of your reader magnet, this is what I recommend. They're already on your list. Give them a link to this page and they can download the book immediately if they lost their link that they received from BookFunnel. That's what I recommend. Otherwise, you can also direct them to log into their BookFunnel library instead. They can do this in their browser by visiting my.bookfunnel.com, and they just log in with their email, the same email they used to claim the book. If they haven't created a password, that's all they have to do. There's no complicated account setup. We try to make it as simple as possible. They just need to set a password the very first time they log in. They could also do this in the BookFunnel app, and their library is already created for them the first time they claim a book. So the book is there waiting for them in their BookFunnel library. Sometimes that's easier to send them to their BookFunnel library instead. And you might want to do that if you don't want to be sharing a link to a simple download page as well. All right, so a question here from Ramon, I believe. My goal is twofold: for a new release, for reviews, and to sell the book. I want to run a promo asking friends, family to review the book in exchange for a review. I might be reading that wrong here, but okay. I'm on the first-time author plan. Will BookFunnel capture emails, or do I need to upgrade to the next plan? Okay. So let's address that first. Yeah, if you're wanting to collect emails, let's go here to our account settings, because here we can actually look at our plans. So the first time author plan is our lowest level plan. It's our most basic. It's $20 per year. It includes one pen name, unlimited books, 500 downloads a month. It does not collect emails. So on this plan level, you cannot directly collect emails. There's a couple things you can do though. If you're on this plan and you're using a simple download page, this would be the type of page you'd be able to create. So let me see here. I should have, we'll edit this page here. So when I'm editing my page details, this is my simple download page. Again, it doesn't collect emails, but I can customize the text that appears on the page. This is the main body of text. And I can include a link in hyperlink form. So I can maybe make this text a little bit larger, and I can insert a hyperlink. I'm just going to put in just a dummy link for now on. So I can just demonstrate this. And when I save that page, now we'll view it. That link will appear here on the page. That will take them out to wherever I want them to go. Now, this means that they'll be able to download the book without joining my mailing list. But alternatively, you can have them join your mailing list using a landing page you've created through your mailing list service instead. Have them join there. So let's say you create an email, a sign up page using MailerLite. Let's just use a MailerLite as an example. Have them sign up through that MailerLite page. Create a welcome sequence so that once they join a list or once they sign up, they get an email sent to them immediately, and include a link to this page. So you're kind of doing it in the opposite way. They're still signing up first and then getting a link to a book. Ramon, that's how I would do that if you're on the first-time author plan. Otherwise, if you do want to collect emails, let me go back here. If you do want to collect emails, our mid-list author plan is $100 a year or $10 a month. So there are monthly options as well that allows you to collect emails, and then you would download those and upload them to your mailing list service. If you want them added automatically, our mid-list author plan with integrations is also an option. You can connect your mailing list service to BookFunnel. That way, when readers claim your book through a landing page, they get added to your list right away. So Janet asked, where do you create a universal book link? Well, Janet, you can create them from anywhere on your dashboard, actually. If you just go to the Add New button here in the upper left-hand corner, click Add New, and we're going to click Add New Landing Page. That takes you directly to the form to create a new landing page, and you can select the book you want to use, and you will select a universal book link. So you'll select the page type. We'll go click Create, and now I can fill in all the details for my page, add links and so forth for ebooks or paperbacks or audiobooks, and fill out my other landing page details. But you can do that from anywhere on your dashboard. This fancy link is right here. If you happen to be on your landing pages tab, you can also click the action button to add a new landing page. But sometimes it's just more convenient to use this Add New button. So Daryl asks, does BookFunnel keep track of how many people click on a link? How do they know how many times you have shared the promo? Okay. So yes, in the context of promos, yes, we do keep track of how many people click on the link. The way it works, let me go back to our group promos here for a second, and we'll go with this one because I know this one is currently active. We should have a link. Do we have a link? Oh, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. I have to probably join it. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. This is my own promo, by the way. So it's not a problem. I am the organizer of this promo. I'm not just joining some random person's promo. And yeah, we'll share here. And we'll fill out these things here saying that, yep, we meet the requirements of the promo. And now we've joined. Oh, that's what it is. I've got to use, here, let's just go with that email right there. BookFunnel does verify whether or not your email is legitimate. So now we've joined this promo and our book is waiting to be approved because it's already started. I'm doing that here on another screen really quick. If you are joining a promo after it has already started, your book does have to be approved. So keep that in mind. If the start date has already passed, oftentimes you can still join those promos in many cases. Sometimes you can't, but many times you can. And we should be good to go here. Yep, here we are. All right. So now you'll see we've been approved in this promo. We have this link here. All right. We have two because we have a custom domain, but this one is the one we want to see. Right? And this is the link to the promo itself. If I open that in a new tab, this is the promo details page, right? This is the link to the promo. And what you'll notice is that there's a little bit at the end. This is the tracking portion of the link. It looks like gibberish. Don't delete it. Leave it there. It's important because that's what gets your clicks tracked. So that is the link you will then copy and then share in your newsletter. When that gets clicked, BookFunnel tracks clicks on those. When somebody clicks on that link from an IP address, we track one click every 24 hours. So within a 24-hour period, that means that that's a relatively close approximation to unique clicks. You can share your promos more than once in a given month. So we don't worry about, like, if a reader clicks on that link 2 or 3 times over the course of the month, that's fine. We don't have a problem with that. That counts as 2 or 3 clicks. You're still bringing in traffic, right? But within a 24-hour period, it only counts as 1 click, right? But that's how you go about doing that. Or that's how that works, I guess I should say. All right. So a question here from India. Question number 1, do the integrations run constantly? For example, if I connect my MailerLite account each time someone joins my list, will it automatically update in BookFunnel? So it is automatic, but it's the other way around, right? So when somebody claims your book through BookFunnel, that gets automatically updated in MailerLite. They get sent to MailerLite automatically, right? So when somebody joins your list through a MailerLite page, for example, that data doesn't get passed on to BookFunnel. It's just from BookFunnel to your mailing list service. Question 2, I have several groups in MailerLite. Will that transfer over to BookFunnel? Well, not exactly. The groups don't transfer, but BookFunnel can see those groups. And so let's see if I have a good example here. Yep, I have a MailerLite integration here set up, and you'll notice that the groups are listed. We only have one group in this MailerLite example, but all of your groups will be listed here. If you don't see them, you'll want to click Refresh Groups, and that will just send a request to MailerLite to send an updated list of your groups. When you are editing your landing pages, specifically your email collection pages, you will find those integration lists here in this drop-down menu. That's how you connect an individual BookFunnel page with an individual list. Readers join your list by claiming the book on that BookFunnel page. They get added to that group in MailerLite. That's how that works. Works very similar for other services other than MailerLite as well. All right, a question here. Is there a functionality with BookFunnel that would allow me to run sales specials through the site, i.e. being able to post a link that would allow a reader to purchase book 2 after they have picked up book 1? In a way, yes. However, BookFunnel, we don't process sales transactions directly. So you would need a sales platform. If you're doing this, say, through direct sales, you'll need a sales platform to actually process the sale, in which case it might be easier to send them back there. And use your sales platform for that. So for example, or your mailing list service. So if they've purchased book 1 or they picked up book 1 for free, however they did it, maybe you have a welcome sequence or an automation sequence in your mailing list that triggers and then sends them to your direct sales platform where they can purchase the book. They cannot purchase the book directly on BookFunnel. So that's where the disconnect would be for a feature like that. On has 2 questions here. Number 1, I have over 3,500 subscribers, but they do not seem to click or move forward. And 2, what about book series? Do you only use book 1 of the series, or is there a book series funnel? So first question here, I'm assuming maybe you're talking about they're not clicking on promos perhaps, but let me know. Feel free to clarify if I'm misunderstanding. The biggest thing with getting readers to click on promos, it's not necessarily going to be every reader on your list, and that's fine. Some authors have the opposite problem where they have 3,500 subscribers or so, and their subscribers only want to click on promos and they don't want to click on the author's books. So this is not a bad problem to have, right? The grass isn't always greener, but usually it's a matter of how you're sharing those promos. We talk about this a little bit in the promos orientation here. So I do recommend watching that. There's a couple of our webinars as well. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But an effective newsletter, crafting an effective newsletter is probably one to watch as well. It's kind of general to newsletters, but we talk about, the Gmail cutoff, for example, is one thing we talk about there. For those of you who don't know, most people open emails that you send them in the Gmail app on their phones or on mobile, and most of the time it gets cut off. Most people are using Gmail. Most people are using mobile, and so most of the message gets cut off if your message is too long. So that's something you need to keep in mind. If you're putting all your promos at the very bottom, that might be where they're not getting very many clicks. There's some other things to consider there on how you structure the email. That's a question that is a bit complicated for me to go into in depth, but that's what I would say, is to look at how you're organizing your email. And as far as a book series go, if we're talking about promos, you can, in a newsletter promo, you're going to be putting up something for free. So if you've got a series, let's say you've got a trilogy, what I recommend you do is you have those 3 books and they're for sale, and you have a reader magnet that you give away for free. And that reader magnet is, if let's say it's an epic fantasy series, let's just use that as an example. That a reader magnet would be like it could be a bonus chapter. But if you're wanting to introduce people to your series, it's ideal that happens before. So maybe it's like a short story prequel, right? For example. Or maybe you are writing you have a nonfiction series that's maybe non-linear. They can kind of jump around, but you're talking about a certain topic. And so you have kind of an introductory reader magnet that introduces them and answers maybe the most simple question, but then leaves them wanting more. And so they can go on to the rest of your nonfiction that you have available. Reader magnets can work for everything. That reader magnet is what you would want to put in a newsletter promo. The rest of your series, the books that you have for sale, you want those to go into sales promos specifically. Using a universal book link, those sales promos will still get those books in front of readers, and they'll click through to go to purchase your books on Amazon. If you're wide on, you can have multiple bookstores linked. If you're selling direct, you can link to your own bookstore, all formats, whatever the case might be, right? In addition to that, if you wanted to use BookFunnel to promote your book series outside of BookFunnel promos, we can do that too. We have bundle pages. Bundle pages allow you, let me see, I think this is a good one. This is a good one. Yeah, here we go. This is a demo bundle page here where I've added links to multiple books. Each one of these is an individual book in the series, is the idea. They can click on that to view the book details. So this is a way you can share an entire series, and these could be a mix of email sign-up pages and universal book links or what have you. So this is a dynamic way for you to, and then you have some other customization options here, as you can see. I did use some custom images on that one, by the way, on that example. So that does require the bestseller plan level. Just keep that in mind if that's not the plan you're on. That script there is an image. Right. Carolyn asks, how do you attract readers to your reader magnet so as to get people to sign up for your newsletter? So there's lots of ways you can do this. First of all, putting your book into BookFunnel group promos. If we're talking about traffic, right? We're wanting to send traffic, if that's what you mean by attract readers. We want to send traffic to that reader magnet. BookFunnel group promos are a great way to do this. Just make sure you do it in the correct genre. So if your genre is romance or a subgenre of romance, look for a very, very specific promo that lines up with your audience. I would avoid doing something general. Do not put your book in a promo that it doesn't belong in. That can get you in trouble. But in general, BookFunnel promos are a great way to do that. You already have them as part of your BookFunnel plan, so you might as well. Now, when it comes to other options for sending traffic to your reader magnet, there's a couple other things you can do. If this is an introductory to your series, there are Facebook reader groups that you can put that in. There are promo services that you can use, and they will accept BookFunnel links. And so I can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but there are promo services out there where you can pay them to send your link to their newsletter, and they usually have tens of thousands of subscribers. And so that's also a very great way to use your BookFunnel email sign-up pages, right, to grow your newsletter. You can also run ads towards your reader magnet. This is something that not a lot of people are considering, because typically with ads, you want them to be profitable. But if you have a set budget, and I would say this is a budget that's set and steady each month, right? So you've determined, okay, I'm going to spend $5 a day promoting my reader magnet on Facebook, and you're kind of just going to set it and forget it, right? Understanding you're growing your mailing list. You can see profitability after that, particularly if you're doing direct sales. You could be able to calculate, okay, these people got the reader magnet and then they went on to, so many of them went on to buy the rest of my series. So you can calculate it that way in some cases, but in some ways, it's just a cost of doing business if you want to get that book in front of readers. So that's just a few ways that you could attract more traffic to your reader magnet. But the good thing with BookFunnel is you can create landing pages for each of those traffic sources. So if you want to see how they're doing, create a landing page that's for promos, create one that you're going to put out there for ads, right? So that way you can see where those readers are coming from, and you can also channel them into different groups in your mailing list service and then market to them after the fact more directly. So hopefully that answers your question, Carolyn. If not, if there's more detail or there's a follow-up question, feel free to put it in the Zoom chat. Tanya asks, I'm unclear about the watermarks for PDFs. Why is it the email of the reader, and what does that do? Okay, so good question, Tanya. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a book here. I think this one should have. Does this one have a PDF? It does have a PDF. Excellent. So for watermarking options, we have a few. When we're talking about PDFs, what we do with PDFs is we stamp them with the reader's email. The reason that we do this is that this data is unique to each reader. Right? So it is always going to be collected. We don't always collect first names and last names, for example. So we will collect the reader's email address when we add the stamp. Same thing with watermarks. We only add a watermark, hidden or visible, when the reader's email address is collected. So because it is visible, it needs to be something that clearly ties the book to that individual reader. And so that's the reason why we use an email address. PDFs are, it's the most basic form of watermarking, right? That we can do. PDFs are very simple documents. They're not as complex as EPUBs are. And so there's kind of limited options. And so using the reader's email, just putting that in the bottom corner, doesn't intrude on their experience of reading the book? Because I know some authors, when they think watermark, they think of like an actual watermark, like going across the whole page. Not everybody wants that. And so for that reason, our watermark there, that stamp is just, maybe we don't call it a watermark, we call it a stamp for a reason, is just out of the way in the bottom left-hand corner. As far as what it does, visible watermarks and PDF stamps are intended to deter casual file sharing, right? And piracy. They can't prevent it outright, but they can deter some of it because it will show their email address in the document, and they'll think twice about sharing that online. Is the idea. So Trisha asks, I'm just setting up everything with MailerLite and BookFunnel. I have 2 pen names because I write in 2 genres. So when you do your landing pages in MailerLite and BookFunnel, how do you differentiate between landing pages and still stay faithful to your brand? Okay, I have 2 pen names. Gotcha. Okay, so 2 pen names, 1 BookFunnel account. It sounds like 1 MailerLite account. So couple of things. You're going to want to make sure that you have separate groups in MailerLite. That's going to be the big thing. Groups are what BookFunnel interfaces with on MailerLite. So you're going to want to have separate groups. And these are the groups we're talking about. So in MailerLite, I would create a separate group for each of your pen names. There's, as far as the default options on how like the emails look, you can create separate email templates to send to those separate groups. You can create separate email automations for each of those groups. There's no reasons why they would really have to tell that you have 2 pen names. The trick is that using the same MailerLite account, there's the chance that somebody does get an email they weren't intended to get. And so what we generally recommend, if you're wanting to have multiple pen names and keep them separate, is to have separate MailerLite accounts, separate mailing list service accounts. BookFunnel can integrate with multiple instances of MailerLite and other mailing list services. So you could connect your BookFunnel account to 2 separate MailerLite accounts, connect those to individual pen names. You'll notice here that I have this one connected to 2 pen names and this one connected to only 1. What that means is when I'm editing landing pages that are associated with this pen name, I can only select these lists. So I can't make the mistake of choosing the wrong list and then my readers get sent to the other pen names list and it becomes right. So that's the best way if you're wanting to not get your wires crossed there and send readers to the wrong list. Otherwise, if you're talking about differentiating between landing pages, that's where your custom themes come in, right? So custom themes, for example, here allow you to customize the colors, also upload a logo that is associated with that. So you can have a separate logo for each pen name. And that way you can have everything branded differently. And then in your welcome sequences and your emails, do the same sort of thing and try to match that branding. Okay, Daryl here has a follow-up question about improving reputation. So, so essentially what can sometimes happen is if you have, your promo reputation falls below, I think it's 20 and 10. So that means you've completed 20 promos and you have 10 or fewer clicks in those promos. This will prevent you from joining most promos. There are some BookFunnel hosted promos that do not have this limit. This is one way that you can help get your score back up. We host these specifically. BookFunnel admins will host them as a way for you to kind of still be able to participate in promos, but with the intention of getting your reputation score boosted by sharing the promo. Right? So that, for one, is what I recommend you do. As far as limits, we do sometimes place those on accounts when that happens. That's really to protect you, because the thing that if your score has fallen below a certain threshold, you do need to participate in promos and get clicks. But oftentimes what can happen is if you're trying to join too many promos, it can sometimes just make things worse, right? And usually we do that to protect you from falling below that threshold. So we try to be proactive sometimes in BookFunnel support. And so we sometimes do that. Those limits usually can get addressed or modified. I would recommend reaching out to whoever you're speaking with in support, because we can't adjust those limits over time. And sometimes it's just a temporary sort of thing, or the limit can be raised. Obviously, the main thing we're trying to do there, Daryl, and we're not trying to single you out or anything like that. The main thing we're trying to do is, number one, prevent bad actors from, and I'm not saying that you're one of them, of course, but this process is there to prevent bad actors from just joining every single BookFunnel promo and not sharing it. So we have to put these kind of safety measures in place. We can definitely work with you, though, if you want to reach out to support. And we can kind of review your case and see what's going on there. I can't speak to the individual details of specifically what may have happened, but yeah, reach back out to us and we can chat with you and see what we can figure out. Because usually it's just a matter of, sometimes we will do a reset of your promo reputation. That's something that we will do on a kind of a one-time basis if you need a reset to kind of get things restarted, and that sort of thing. So that's another option that we have. Well, we have a question here. Is there a way to reach BookFunnel readers without running a group promo? Well, BookFunnel doesn't have readers, so we don't have a list of readers. So when you join a BookFunnel group promo, you're not actually reaching BookFunnel readers per se. You're reaching the readers on those authors' mailing lists. So they might use BookFunnel, but they are not BookFunnel readers specifically, if that makes sense. At this time, there is not a way without joining BookFunnel promos or author swaps. Let's see here. Okay, Denise is asking, sorry for the additional question on collecting emails. No worries, Denise. Just want to make sure I understand it. I joined a promo that has 60 different authors that will be sending it out. If I sign up for the $150 per year plan, that's the mid-list author with integrations, can someone join my list? How would this happen? Okay, good question, Denise. So yes, technically speaking, somebody can join your list on any plan if you're in a promo. I mentioned on the first-time author plan, you can add a hyperlink onto your landing pages if that's the plan you're using. If you're on the mid-list author plan, you can use an email sign-up page. They can sign up. You just have to then download their emails and manually add them to your mailing list. The benefit of the mid-list author with integrations plan is you can connect it to your mailing list service. So readers will sign up on your email collection page and they get sent to your mailing list automatically. So yes, on any of those plans, you can do it. But if you're wanting to be automatic, then the mid-list author plan with integrations is the way to go. All right, we are kind of in the last quarter here of the session. So I'm going to try to get through as many of these questions as I can. I know I'm not quite catching up. More questions are getting put into the chat. If I don't get to yours in time here before we have to go to the next session, I do apologize. Feel free to follow up with any questions at help@bookfunnel.com. Or if you're going to be in some of the following sessions after this, we might be able to get to some questions there too. But Tamani asks, is there a phone or chat help for BookFunnel when you're learning to set all this up? No, we do not have phone support. But our email support is awesome, and we will reply back to you multiple times a day. So we don't let your email just sit there. The only times where we might be a little slow to respond is if there's an issue. Initially, we'll respond right away, but if there's an issue that our development team needs to look at, like maybe there's something going on with that our dev team has to look at, our engineering team, that sometimes those things can take a little while. But if you're just trying to learn the ropes and figure things out, email us, support@bookfunnel.com, or even right here from your dashboard. I just go to, click the help button, not your account settings. Click the help button and send us a message. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Let's see here. So Kevin is asking, apology if this was covered in beginner videos. How do readers selecting the PDF version get the cover art? So this is a good question. Two ways to look at this. So let's go to a landing page here. So this is just a simple download page. Yep. There's a PDF option here on this one. If you're talking about the cover art as part of the PDF itself, the way you do that is you just want the cover to be the first page of the PDF. So when you're creating your PDF or after the fact, if you can actually edit a PDF and just drag another image into it, there's a way to do that. It's something that basically, excuse me, if you have the PDF with all the book's contents and you have a separate PDF that is just the image, you should be able to inspect that PDF that shows you all the pages, and you can drag and drop that one onto the other PDF to make it the first page. This is not something you do in BookFunnel. This is something you just do in your, just there with your PDF viewer on your computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC. I'm only familiar with Mac personally, so your mileage might vary on PC, but that's how they would get it. They would download the PDF, it would be the first page. Now, if you are specifically wanting to distribute cover art as the PDF, like that's what they're downloading is just the cover art. The PDF itself should be the book cover. This image on the landing page is a JPEG. This is what you upload in this section of your book details. This will just display on the landing page itself. Technically, somebody could right-click this and download the image if they wanted to, right? And that's fine. But if you're wanting them to be able to download a PDF of the cover art specifically, you would just upload that as a PDF to the book, and then they can download as normal. And they can get the cover. Some authors will do that for like cover reveals and things like that. All right, a few more questions here we can get to. So Becky asks, are some reader magnets better than others? In other words, might a World War II novella attract less readers than a full-length contemporary romance book as far as promo groups go? So yes, there are different types of reader magnets. First of all, if we're talking about genre, it really depends. There's different genre expectations to some degree. Most fiction genres are okay with like a prequel type short story or novella. That's usually fine, especially if you're giving it away for free. We talk about this a little bit in one of our recent webinars, which let me look for it here on our playlists. I think, oops, where did it go? Oh, here it is. Webinars, the full playlist. The 5 reader magnets every author needs, right here, this one. We talk about different types of reader magnets. Samples are one of those, for example, or excerpts. I recommend that you use them. However, I recommend you just give them away and don't ask for emails, because readers don't like giving you their email only to get a sample, right? So it's more that if you have one reader magnet now, that's great. I recommend you develop more and different ones so that you have a multi-pronged approach to using your reader magnets. A longer book is always going to be a bigger draw, but the downside of giving them a full-length novel, for example, as a reader magnet, is they've got to read that full novel before they get to the next thing. So sometimes having the reader magnet be too much content can actually come back to bite you there a little bit, unless it's bonus content that you're like giving them as part of a bundle that they purchased or something. So Denise is saying, I have zero reputation. I have only sent one out, but on BookClicker, it has improved since I sent it out. Denise, BookClicker isn't associated with BookFunnel, so I recommend that you reach out to them if your question is specifically about BookClicker. I know that I think you can use BookFunnel pages on BookClicker. I'm not 100% familiar, but we are a separate service, so I'm not sure I can answer your question fully. Jim Patton asks, are there dedicated promos for audiobooks, or can they be mixed into other promos? There are some dedicated promos that you might be able to find if organizers create them. If you can't find them and you'd like to see one, you can host one yourself that is dedicated toward audiobooks. Totally fine to do. You can essentially, there's not a way to do this by default, but you can limit the applicants and put them in a waiting room. So you just approve the audiobooks that get submitted, but they can be mixed in with other promos too. So if you're doing a newsletter promo or a sales promo, you have a sample of your audiobook, for example, that you want to give away as sort of a reader magnet. You can do that in newsletter promos. Audiobooks can be added to newsletter and sales promos. No problem. Janet asks, I've been unsure about promos, but understand it better now. I have used BookFunnel for delivering rewards for my Kickstarter campaign successfully. Okay, not a question, but glad to hear that I was able to help you out there. Janet? Isa asks, can I send my links to Kindle Pages? So yeah, if we're talking about a universal book link, right? So this one again. So yep, this can go straight to Amazon. I'm not sure exactly where this actual button points to. This is just a demo page. All right. But yes, I can have this button here that goes to Kindle. Let me actually edit a page here so I can show you guys. This page has a lot of links on it though. I'm just letting you know this is oh no, it doesn't. That's the other one, right? Okay, yeah, so these are all dummy links here that I'm just using as an example. But you can see here, yep, I can add Amazon. I can add additional buttons if I want to add one that's specifically for Kindle. And then I can also add different country links here as well. So if you want to, and you just do that by adding the US link, and then there will be a drop-down menu where they can select other countries and so forth. So yes, you can do that. Now, if you're saying your Kindle pages, like your Amazon author page, I would recommend doing that in this section, right? So like follow me on Amazon, for example, and then add a hyperlink to that specific page, right? If that's what you're asking, you can do that as well. So Daryl asks, how do I take a list I have now in BookFunnel to establish an arc in MailerLite, and I want to capture the emails of those that want to join? Okay, Daryl, I'm trying to follow along here. Let me see. So we've got a list in BookFunnel. So for an arc, sounds like, capture the emails of those that want to join, then have a form to sign up, then those that pass in a separate subscriber list. We actually did a webinar. I think I understand your question. The webinar I recommend you watch that is kind of on this specific thing is automating your ARC team. In this one, we talk about how you can recruit for your ARC team and then automate the process so that those who follow up and write reviews stay on your ARC team and get future ARCs. Some of that might be useful there. It involves BookFunnel and your mailing list service working together in tandem, but that's what I recommend you check out. All right, I think we got to the end of the questions there, and we're also out of time. I know we had some pre-submitted questions. Let me take a look at one here. Okay, this one is quick from Sandy. This was submitted ahead of time. What are Kindle Direct Publishing or Kindle Unlimited authors limited to on BookFunnel, i.e. only author swaps or email promotions? We can't give a universal book link, right? If we can't use a universal book link, then swaps are out of the question. What do we do? Okay, Universal book links are actually what you would want to use primarily for your books that are in Kindle Unlimited or KDP Select. A universal book link only links readers to where they can purchase the book. This is not against Amazon's terms of service. You're just sending people to Amazon, just like you can run ads on Facebook that point people to Amazon. You can do that. Amazon doesn't care. What Amazon doesn't want you to do is to give away you have in Kindle Unlimited, to give it away for free or to sell it somewhere else. That's what Amazon doesn't want you to do. Generally speaking, you can distribute a 10% sample. That's historically what you've been able to do outside of Amazon without getting in trouble. However, it's kind of a gray area. That verbiage has disappeared from the KDP site, so your mileage may vary. Proceed with caution. And there's also kind of a gray area around review copies for books that are, actively in KDP Select. So we're not talking about advanced review copies, but providing a review copy to somebody when the book is already published and on KDP Select. There's some gray area around that technically. However, many authors do it. Depends on how you do it. I recommend proceeding with caution if you choose to do that, and don't just make your book available publicly to anybody and everybody. If you want to get some more reviews on your books that are already published on Amazon, you can typically give review copies discreetly to readers. Again, this is a thing where I have to tell you folks, it's a little bit of a gray area because there are Amazon representatives who have said, yeah, that's totally fine. You can absolutely give people review copies when your book is in KDP Select, like actively published. And there are other Amazon reps who've said, no, you can't do that. That's a violation of our terms. And I think what it comes down to, if you've heard of stories of authors getting banned, it depends on how they were doing it. If I put my book on KDP Select, Kindle Unlimited, and then I run ads to my review copy where people can claim it for free, yeah, that's kind of violating the spirit of it. If I'm giving a select number of copies to a few of my subscribers privately and directly, I'm not making it available publicly. First of all, Amazon is probably never going to find out or even care. And second of all, again, it's being done discreetly. Your mileage may vary. I cannot guarantee your results or what will happen or what Amazon might do. But if you're going to do that 10% sample or what have you, proceed with caution. Otherwise, if you're in KDP Select, use a reader magnet. Put that in newsletter promos. You can grow your list because that's not going to be in KDP Select. You might put it up for free on Amazon as a perma-free, but not in KDP Select, not in Kindle Unlimited. And you go that way. All right, folks, you guys have been great. Thank you for all the questions. If you have further follow-ups, feel free to reach out to us, help@bookfunnel.com, and we can help you guys out. We are going on to our next session, though, so we're going to wrap this one up. We will see you all here in a little bit if you're going to be joining me. If not, I will see you all next time for the next BookFunnel Live. Thank you, guys, and have a good one.
Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.